Right? Let's dive into this because what happened at Ibrox wasn't just a bad night. It was a wake-up call for Rangers and anyone who thought this new project under Russell Martin was going to be smooth sailing. The 3-1 loss to Club Brugge didn't just sting. It set off alarm bells across the blue side of Glasgow. And while some tried to remain calm, others, like former striker Chris Boyd, didn't hold back one bit. His reaction? Brutal, direct, and absolutely damning. But before we get to that, let's unpack the bigger picture, because what's happening at Rangers right now goes beyond one game. From the first whistle, you could sense something was off. It took Club Brugge just 7 minutes to score twice. Not one, 2 goals, inside 7 minutes at Ibrox in a Champions League qualifier. That alone tells you the kind of chaos unfolding on the pitch. Defensive errors, miscommunication, players not tracking runners. It looked like a team still in preseason mode, while Brugge came in like it was a cup final. By the 20-minute mark, it was 3-0. The home crowd, stunned into silence at first, let their frustrations fly. Boos at halftime. More full-time. This wasn't just disappointment, this was fury. Now, to be fair, Danilo did manage to pull one back early in the second half, and for a few fleeting minutes, it looked like Rangers might mount a comeback. But let's be real, there was never truly a moment where they looked in control. And that's exactly what Danilo tried to address after the match. He fronted up, admitted the result was far from good enough, but urged the fans to keep the faith. He spoke about fighting, about belief, about how the team needs the fans behind them, especially now. And while that kind of message is expected after a bad result, it also reflects the internal pressure this squad is already feeling. Danilo's words hit the right tone, but they also revealed something else. This is still a group trying to figure itself out. New players, new manager, a new way of playing. But the problem is the Champions League doesn't give you time to find a rhythm. If you're not ready, you get punished. And punished they were. Enter Chris Boyd. Now, anyone who's followed Scottish football knows Boyd isn't the type to sugarcoat things. But even by his standards, the post-match reaction was scathing. He called out the defending, called out the leadership on the pitch, and didn't hesitate to put Russell Martin under the spotlight. According to Boyd, conceding 3 goals like that, in that time frame, was nothing short of embarrassing. He pointed at individual mistakes, particularly the mix-up between the center backs and Butland on the first goal, as signs of a team not switched on. The second goal? A total breakdown on a set piece. No one marking the danger zone, zonal marking gone wrong, and another simple header into the net. The third? A stunner. Yes, but only after Rangers failed to clear their lines multiple times. Boyd's verdict? You can't keep making these kinds of errors and expect to compete at this level. And he's absolutely right. At this level, mistakes like that are fatal. He also took aim at the lineup. The decision to start a 19-year-old on such a massive night, leaving someone like James Tavernier, one of the most experienced players at the club, on the bench, didn't sit well with many fans. Boyd acknowledged that the young debutant actually held his own, but the broader question was, where were the leaders? Where were the voices? When the game was slipping away, who stepped up? And the answer is no one really. The second half was better. Rangers managed to keep Brugge quieter, and Danilo's goal gave the fans a glimmer of something to hold on to. But one shot on target in 90 minutes? That's not a reaction. That's not enough. Especially when you're playing at home in front of a packed Ibrox, chasing a Champions League dream. And that dream? Right now it's hanging by a thread. To turn it around in Belgium would require something close to a miracle. Boyd was honest about that too. He said it outright. Rangers' European hopes are in tatters. He praised Brugge for coming to Glasgow and playing with confidence, just like they did in a preseason friendly earlier this year. The difference? This time it counted, and they delivered when it mattered. For Rangers, the stakes couldn't be higher. Fail to qualify, and it's not just prestige that takes a hit. It's the finances, the squad morale, and the momentum heading into domestic competition. What's most worrying, though, is not just the result, it's the pattern. According to Boyd, and let's be honest, many fans watching too, the same mistakes keep happening. Players not doing their jobs, failing to take responsibility, looking like individuals instead of a team. And that more than anything, is what Russell Martin needs to fix fast, because the fixture list isn't getting any easier. Next up, a massive league clash away to St. Mirren and Paisley, then the return leg in Belgium, and then the Old Firm. Talk about a pressure cooker. These next few weeks could define Martin's start to life at Rangers. It's early, yes, but the margin for error is already razor thin. If this team doesn't find consistency, doesn't find belief, and most importantly, doesn't cut out these costly errors, things could spiral quickly. But beyond the result, beyond the noise, what's becoming clearer is that this rebuild is going to be a lot tougher than many expected. Yes, there's talent in this squad. Yes, the fans want to believe. But belief has to be earned. Performances have to justify the project. Right now, too many questions are unanswered. Is Russell Martin the right man? Can he get the best out of this group? Are the players truly buying in? And then there's the off-the-pitch drama. Just to add to the tension, reports came out that Lille submitted a bizarre offer for striker Hamza Igerman, basically asking for a loan deal with no fee involved. That's right, no money, just a straight loan for one of Rangers' most promising assets. Unsurprisingly, the club laughed it off. And while the bid was rejected instantly, it does highlight how much attention certain players are attracting, especially someone like Igerman, who bagged 16 goals in his debut season and has already made a mark back in the squad this past weekend. Whether Lille come back with a real offer remains to be seen, but if they do, it'll need to be a hefty one, because Rangers aren't in the mood to lose key players with the season already underway, and especially not during a period where every result is under the microscope and every decision, from team selection to transfer moves, is being judged by the fans and the media alike. So where does this leave us? Well, in a storm, honestly, Rangers are facing heat on every front: performance, pressure, personnel. The fans are demanding answers. The pundits are calling for accountability. And Russell Martin? He's standing in the middle of it all, knowing that the next few games could shape the entire narrative of his tenure. It's a tough spot to be in, but that's the job. No hiding, no excuses. It's time to show what this team is really made of. Now, with all that said, let's talk about the pressure that's building, not just on the pitch, but in every corner of Ibrox. Because what we're seeing isn't just a matter of tactics gone wrong or a poor run of form. This is about belief, identity, and leadership, or in Rangers' case right now, the lack of all three. When Chris Boyd called that first half embarrassing, he wasn't exaggerating. He was putting into words what thousands of fans were feeling watching that collapse unfold live. When a team concedes 3 goals at home in a European qualifier, it's not just a tactical issue, it's psychological. And that's what should really concern Russell Martin. It's not just that Rangers lost, it's how they lost. The body language was all wrong. Players looked lost, almost passive, like the occasion had swallowed them up. And that's where questions start flying toward the manager. Has he instilled enough mental resilience in this squad? Do they even believe in the system he's trying to play? Because if they do, it's not showing. And if they don't, well, then the issues are deeper than just poor finishing or sloppy defending. Look at the midfield, for example. Time and again, Brugge cut through them with ease. There was no bite, no structure, no one putting a foot in when it mattered. That midfield was supposed to be the engine room, the link between defense and attack. But on that night, it was a void. Every time Brugge surged forward, you could see panic spread across the Rangers' back line. That doesn't happen if the team is organized. That happens when the foundations are shaky and the players don't trust what's in front of them. Russell Martin has talked a lot about his style of football: expansive, brave, possession-based. But here's the thing. Playing out from the back and keeping the ball only works when the basics are nailed down first. You need defensive discipline, solid shape, and players who know their roles inside out. Otherwise, you're just inviting pressure. And that's exactly what Rangers did. Gave Brugge invitation after invitation to press high, force mistakes, and pounce on loose balls. That first goal? Classic case of overplaying in a dangerous area. Total confusion between the center backs and Butland. And Brugge said, "Thank you very much." So again, what's the plan here? Is this team truly built to play the way Martin wants? Or is he trying to fit square pegs into round holes? Because as much as you want to believe in a philosophy, you also have to be realistic with the tools at your disposal. Right now, it feels like there's a disconnect. You got players who aren't comfortable in possession being asked to play like prime Barcelona. That's not on them. That's on the system. And let's be honest, this isn't just about Brugge. This isn't a one-off. Rangers have looked shaky since the start of the season. Even the games they've won, the performances haven't been convincing. There's been a softness to this team, an uncertainty like they're still figuring things out in real time. And that's a dangerous place to be when your schedule includes league deciders, European qualifiers, and an Old Firm derby in the space of a fortnight. It doesn't help that the fans are already starting to turn. You could hear it at Ibrox. The boos weren't just about the scoreline. They were about standards. Rangers supporters have been through enough in the last decade to know when something isn't right. They can smell weakness, and right now there's blood in the water. That's why the next match against Street Mirren isn't just a league fixture. It's a character test. Win it convincingly, and maybe you steady the ship. Drop more points, and the pressure multiplies tenfold heading into the return leg in Belgium and then the Old Firm. Speaking of Belgium, let's not sugarcoat it. Overturning a 3-1 deficit away from home in the Champions League is a mountain. Not just because of the scoreline, but because of the level of organization and discipline needed to pull off something like that. Brugge won't roll over. They've already shown they can dominate Rangers physically and tactically. So what's going to change? Will Martin make drastic adjustments? Or double down on his ideas, hoping the players execute better next time? It's a huge decision because another heavy defeat could cause real damage, not just in Europe, but to the dressing room itself. And yet, even amid all this noise, all this chaos, you still sense that Martin wants to be bold. He made that clear when he left Tavernier on the bench. That's not a small decision. That's a statement. He's trying to stamp his authority on the squad, reshape the hierarchy, and signal that no one's place is guaranteed. That takes guts, but also comes with risk. Because if the results don't back you up, those bold calls become liabilities. And the fans don't forget them. So the question becomes, how long does he get? How many setbacks before the board starts to get nervous? How many more flat performances before the dressing room starts to lose confidence? It's a fine line. Everyone knew this was going to be a transition season, but nobody expected it to be this fragile, this chaotic, this soon. And if there's one thing that Rangers fans won't accept, it's a team that looks unsure of itself. It's not just about winning. It's about playing with purpose, with identity, with pride. That's been missing. And Martin knows it. That's why his post-match comments have been so measured. He's not throwing players under the bus, but he's also not sugarcoating it. He's acknowledging the gaps. The problem is those gaps are showing in every department. From the goalkeeper to the center backs, from the midfield to the front line. There's a lack of sharpness, a lack of cohesion, and most worryingly, a lack of belief. Let's not forget, this is Rangers. Expectations come with the badge. There's no patience for excuses, especially in Europe. The fans want progress, and they want it now. They've bought into this new era, but that belief is fragile. It can evaporate fast, and if that happens, things can turn toxic in a heartbeat. That's the reality of managing a club of this size. And while we're here, let's revisit the Eigerman situation because it could become another headache. If Lille, or any other club, comes back with a proper bid, what happens? Do Rangers cash in to fund reinforcements? Or do they dig in and hold their ground, knowing that letting him go now could leave a massive hole up front? Eigerman is just 22, already scoring goals, and clearly has suitors. But his future depends not just on money, but on the club's ambition. Are Rangers try to build something, or just survive the season? That's the kind of question fans are starting to ask, and they deserve answers. Because right now, it feels like everything's up in the air: results, tactics, transfers, leadership. The only thing that's certain is that the next few weeks will be absolutely pivotal. From Paisley to Belgium to Celtic Park, Rangers are walking a tightrope. And if they slip, the fallout could be severe. This isn't about doom and gloom. It's about facing the reality. Champions League hopes are hanging by a thread. Domestic form is shaky. Fan trust is being tested. And Russell Martin? He's got it all on his shoulders. How he responds will define not just the start of his tenure, but potentially his entire spell in charge. The pressure's real, the clock is ticking, and the margin for error has disappeared. Now it's about grit. Now it's about answers. And most of all, now it's about showing whether this team has the fight to prove everyone wrong. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In the heart of Glasgow, whispers are turning into roars as speculation swirls around what many fans are calling the most sensational move in recent memory. Rangers allegedly securing the signature of Jamie VARDY on a blockbuster contract. The noise began softly, with murmurs on fan forums and hushed conversations in pubs near Ibrox. But it has since grown into a full-blown storm of curiosity and excitement. Supporters are daring to believe that the Leicester City legend, the man who fired the Foxes to their improbable Premier League triumph, could soon be donning the famous royal blue shirt. If true, this would be more than just a transfer. It would be a statement of intent, a thunderclap across the Scottish game that Rangers are determined to reclaim and expand their dominance. Critics argue that at his age, VARDY might not offer the same blistering pace that once terrified defenses, but others point to his relentless work ethic, predatory instinct, and inspirational story as qualities that cannot be measured solely by numbers. For Rangers, the possibility alone has injected a renewed surge of optimism, leaving fans counting the days and watching every clue with wide-eyed anticipation. The rumor mill suggests that negotiations were carried out in near total secrecy, with Rangers board determined to spring a surprise that would jolt not only their rivals, but also the entire footballing landscape in Britain. Reports filtering through suggest that a lucrative package, said to include performance-based bonuses and ambassadorial duties after his playing days, was enough to persuade VARDY to take on a new adventure north of the border. Sources close to the situation hint that Ibrox officials flew under the radar, making discreet trips to England and ensuring that no information leaked until every piece of the puzzle was almost in place. This cloak-and-dagger approach has only heightened the intrigue, with journalists scrambling to confirm the veracity of the claims, while supporters remain glued to social media, dissecting every potential sign. If the move does indeed materialize, it would underline Rangers' ambition to compete at the highest level, both domestically and in European competitions. After years of rebuilding, the idea of landing a striker of VARDY's caliber carries a symbolic weight that transcends tactics or formations, suggesting that Rangers want not only to win, but also to make headlines on a grand scale. Fans have reacted with a mixture of disbelief and jubilation, flooding message boards with imagined goal celebrations and chants tailored for VARDY. Many supporters view the potential signing as more than a footballing decision. They see it as a cultural crossover that brings Premier League glamour to Scottish soil. Season ticket holders are already joking that they will be camped outside the club shop the moment shirts emblazoned with his name become available. Others, more pragmatic, are debating how he would fit into the current squad, whether he could strike up a lethal partnership with existing forwards, or if his presence might push younger prospects to raise their standards. For a club that thrives on passion and identity, the addition of a proven goalscorer who epitomizes determination and resilience would resonate deeply. Even rival fans, though quick to mock, cannot help but acknowledge the shockwaves such a transfer would send through Scottish football. The buzz has reached such a level that casual observers and even non-footballing locals are discussing it on trams, in coffee shops, and in offices, further fueling the atmosphere of feverish expectation. Beyond the immediate euphoria, there are serious footballing questions being asked about what VARDY could realistically contribute in the Scottish Premiership. While no longer in the first flush of youth, he remains a player whose mentality has often compensated for any physical decline. Coaches and pundits argue that his experience in high-pressure situations, from title races to Champions League nights, would be invaluable to a squad eager to test itself against Europe's elite. His mere presence in training could lift standards, sharpen focus, and provide invaluable lessons to younger players still learning the professional ropes. Moreover, his reputation for relentless pressing and instinctive finishing means he could still be a nightmare for defenders and used to dealing with such intensity. On the flip side, concerns about injuries and adaptation to the Scottish game linger, with some wondering whether the heavy pitches in winter might reduce his effectiveness. Yet history shows that VARDY has consistently defied doubts, and those who write him off often end up eating their words. That alone keeps the dream alive and sustains the narrative that Rangers may have pulled off something truly extraordinary. As speculation intensifies, one cannot ignore the broader implications such a transfer would carry for Scottish football as a whole. The arrival of a player with VARDY's pedigree would not only bolster Rangers, but also raise the profile of the league internationally, attracting additional media coverage, sponsorship, and possibly even new television deals. Opposing managers would need to rethink strategies, defenders would steel themselves for a different level of challenge, and younger strikers across the nation would gain a role model who embodies the mantra that persistence pays off. For Rangers, the signing could mark the beginning of a new era where ambition is matched with action, bridging the gap between domestic dominance and continental credibility. Whether this story proves to be reality or merely one of the great transfer myths, it has already achieved something remarkable. It has united fans in excitement, ignited endless debates, and reminded everyone of football's enduring capacity to surprise. Until official confirmation arrives, the rumor remains suspended in the air like the tension before a penalty kick, leaving all of Scotland watching, waiting, and wondering what will come next. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.